Alright, Mijungu, I think tuanze na mambo ya Kenya Power. Nimeona Kenya Power kuna masaibu, watu wanahamia solar, serikali imeshindwa kupeana a company that enjoys a monopoly. There's nobody else who distributes electricity in this country.
Imagine.
Kenya Power, they are making losses. Now everybody is moving to solar. Is that the future of this country?
Asante sana Bitok. Bitok, by the way, I will talk as a citizen. We cannot have a monopoly in this country who does everything, that does everything, hears everything. KPLC is everything, yet they do nothing to consumers. A while back, we were just talking about people going into solar. And I will tell you, the government will come for us. Even when you go to solar, they'll say you are now generating your own electricity for some reason. So they'll just find a way of taking you back there. So the problem is not us going for solar or our issue should be about restructuring KPLC and getting it to work for the people of Kenya. But to say that we can ultimately go for a sustainable solution in solar, I do not think that would ever happen. We have to organize that company and get the national grid to serve us as Kenyans. We are talking about powering up our trains. You remember the SGR should now have should be electrified or something like that.
Oh, really?
Of course.
The boogie can text him.
Yeah, the boogie will have to. I mean, let me tell you, we talk in this era today. We are talking about hyperloops. Virgin has just tested an hyperloop mode of transport in the US. I mean, we are talking about an hyperloop, and we are still talking about an SGR that is diesel run. We are talking about problems of having electricity supply. Yet other countries are even past trains today. Yeah, they are talking about you traveling at the speed at more than the speed of sound. Yeah.
So tutafute pesa nyingine ya kuweka stima hii bugibugi ya diesel. Ama itawekwa nje nyingine tena.
Unajua kuweka wataweka. Yeah, kuweka wataweka. I think the whole idea is to organize KPLC.
And the question is, how do you speak about even restricting KPLC? KPLC, first of all, is a monopoly. The other day they have increased bills by 20%. Unopposed. They wake up every day and they say, okay, we are going to increase the bills. So what is the match that we can still do for KPLC? Because as you look at it, we were talking about also interest in terms of their family that are said to be having shares, bigger shares there. And also everybody is pushing is actually pulling to their hand. Mwananchi, affair mwananchi iko wapi? Where are the interest of the mwananchi?
Let us hope that the fact that people have started to move away from KPLC, that already threatens them. Let us hope that puts in their mind what can I say? Let it be something that gets them to get back, to get off their backside and do something around KPLC. Yeah, if that threatens them, then I hope they will wake up from that slumber and be able to do something about it. But you cannot say that it can never be restructured. I think it is possible. We have enough brains around here. I do acknowledge that there are a lot of interests around the country that are so embedded within KPLC, and that is because it is a monopoly. Another way we could go is to probably license other electricity distributors.
Why haven't we done that, by the way?
Because it's a monopoly and it is controlled by interest. So this also goes to the question of how we elect our leaders. Do we want to elect people who have interests? For the US, for example, Trump had a lot of interest in the hoteling industry and all. And you see what happens. Yeah, while leaders would fly and would sleep in the hotels, would consider some bribery. So interests are all over. It's not only unique to us as Kenyans. It's all over, but we have to find a way of taming it. And I think liberalizing the distribution market, I think that would be a way to go. Yeah, because in the communication sector, we do have like 4 or 5 players within it, and many more will come. Yeah, we will soon probably have people who have companies that only operate online, I mean, through virtually through the internet. Yeah, so which will be a challenge to them as well.
But do you think the government is going to allow these sort of things? Because even the online business they're talking about is being taxed already. Do you think the government is going to allow its monopoly in power to be interrupted?
My brother, this is a country that punishes success. The moment you will have a sizable chunk of Kenyans doing solar, believe you me, they will come for you in your own houses. Probably there will be regulations of how you should have solar. There will be probably regulations of the quality of the kind of solar that you have to put to your house. Probably NEMA would have to approve you having to put a gadget in your house, and all these other sort of things. These things will happen. So if you think buying solar is denying government revenue in one way or another,
they'll still find you.
Oh, they'll still find you. Believe you me. Yeah.
Hata kutoka kwa solar uende utengeneze ile wind power.
At a wind power, they'll still find you. As long as you'll be generating your own energy, prepare. They will be there.
Then how do we inspire the economy? You're talking about empower manufacturing in the country. How do we industrialize the country without power?
I mean, that is the biggest thing that threatens KPLC, because if it cannot work, then how do you do manufacturing? Because that is all the hallmark of all job creation within a state or within a country. So I am hoping the reaction of Kenyans to go for solar in the short term. Let it be like a wake-up call. In the medium term or long term, I do not think we'll go there. We will likely to have a solution within the next 2 to 3 or 4 years to get this KPLC working and all. Yeah,
but we are promising the youth jobs. How are you going to create jobs when you don't? Why are we not fixing? Why not fixing the basic problems? And that's why I also disagree with the proposal you're even seeing in the BBI report, that somehow miraculously youth will have jobs. Right now we are talking about industries that are dying because there's no power. I mean, how much garbage can we sell to young people?
Yeah, I know. I know the BBI is recommending the Youth Commission. That's not an end to itself. I've been the chairman of the National Youth Council, and I know how hard, or I know what it means to organize young people. It's a very, very dynamic group. And in my estimation, the Youth Commission has put in the Constitution, I don't know the legislation that is likely to be behind it if it passes, but a Youth Commission is not likely to give you any job. Probably it would look at matters of mainstreaming youth issues within government, have a bit more of an independent budget and all that. But how many youth can the commission take? Yeah. And how do you come up with a commission that is more or less appointive than representative in other forms? I would have loved a commission. Maybe probably this could go into legislation, a commission that is elected, so that at the end of the day it is representative of the real views of young people in the country. But as it is, I do not think the Youth Commission is bad. I think it is a plus for young people in terms of engagement at the highest level of government. That is fair, but the legislation behind it should make sure that the kind of commission we get in terms of pushing young people's issues in the country is one that is representative. Well, otherwise, you'll get any president who cares will appoint anybody he cares to be in the commission, and that would be the end of the youth issues. They'll tell you, oh, but you have a commission, but the commission doesn't work anyway.
But what exactly is the commission supposed to achieve, in your own opinion? And in which way? What is the roadmap to achieving anything for young people through a commission?
Yes, because
when you talk about creating jobs, it's extremely it's extremely. I mean, it's not something you can maneuver through papers and theses and write theories and all that. It's very practical. Yeah. Like you're creating manufacturing, you're expanding the industrialization mark, you're building more factories, probably you're getting more people into business. I mean, how is the commission planning to achieve all these things without the right structure around it?
The whole idea of getting the youth function to work, probably not a commission, probably not even a ministry. It's a wholesome agenda. I do believe that youth issues should be in every ministry. In fact, I do believe that there should be.
But you have all ministry.
Yes, I do believe that you should actually have a person responsible for youth matters at the highest level of every ministry, probably as an advisor in every ministry, so that everything that is decided at the policy level in any ministry, then you'll have to engage the youth based on that. But to say probably there is a thinking that the commission will be able to force some of these things, which I doubt, because look at the Commission for Implementation of the Constitution. It's a commission that was largely ignored. You look at the National Commission of Integration Commission. I mean, it's a toothless commission. Probably the commission that has ever worked in this country is the Teacher Service Commission, and probably the one that now proposed as the Health Service Commission. Those are two that could work. But these other ones, even the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, would you say that it works? Today they go, they make a decision of having members of parliament to earn 400,000. The next day, members of parliament threaten to withdraw a budget for them. They review it. So does it work? I don't think it works. I don't think it has stayed. I don't know what the kind of reviews. I'm not so sure the kind of reviews that they've done to ensure that Salaries and Remuneration Commission works, especially when we are likely to have many members of parliament. I think it is important that they be given average salaries, not the kind of salaries that they're earning that would be more of a burden to Kenyans or to the taxpayer. Yeah.
All right. Even as we talk about the commission, you say that you started as a chairman for NYC. What are some of the achievements that you made at NYC?
I institutionalized the organization. The organization probably runs on my vision to date. I was the only person.
Let's even talk about the institution itself. What has it achieved?
Let me tell you. Before you get, when we were elected as representatives of the council, we got into an office with no secretariat, an office with no budget, an office with nothing to do with facilitation towards achieving the youth agenda. By the time we left in 4 years that we served, within 4 years, we had already put all these things in place. And I am proud that it's an institution that can stand on its own. What lacks today? What lacks today is the fact that they have not done an election to get members elected the way we were from the grassroots, to be able to be representatives of young people in that council. Otherwise, National Youth Council has a proper strategic plan. Basically,
achievements. Achievements. Can we hit out some of the achievements?
Basically, institutionalization. That would be what we had done. But to say that there's something extra that you're supposed to do, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to be a voice of the young people. You're supposed to be out there lobbying for young people to get into public institutions. You're supposed to be mainstreaming young people's issues. I think these are things that are ongoing. You're supposed to be a participant, not a passenger in government affairs. These are things that are done. You know, there's this expectation that a council or a youth commission could probably create a job. That cannot happen. Jobs are created by the Ministry of Industrialization, probably the Ministry of Agriculture. Yeah,
but you've talked about lobbying. But so how much jobs have we lobbied?
Of course, a lot. There are a lot of achievements. If you go to every ministry, you're likely to find the youth function mainstreamed within those ministries. You're likely to find appointments in most boards, young people, and that is something that has been taken up. There are representatives in the Youth Enterprise Development Fund, for example. There are representatives in the National Employment Authority, for example. So we had tried to make sure that young people can be engaged in different spheres of government. And this has happened. It will not happen in a day, not in a year, but certainly it happens and it grows. And once it happens, it never turns back. Then the biggest problem we face today, why there could be a weakness in terms of taking care of the youth function, is the fact that there has not been a board in the last 2.5 years, or even 2 years. They don't have a board. How they make policies there that influence and impact young people's lives, that is the biggest problem that we have today. How hard is it for a government to do an election that it's not by universal suffrage? Basically, it's a delegate selection. So it should be very, very easy. We went through it and we succeeded in doing what we could do. Let others do it.
So even when you talk about it, I mean, so what makes us think that now a youth commission will work better than a ministry? We already have a youth ministry. We have, and I see the Youth National Youth Council. What makes us feel now, finally, now we have a commission that will work better? Because it's about the political goodwill.
I will tell you, yes, even if you gave the youth a whole ministry, even if you gave them a whole government to run things, still the person who determines where everything happens, how it happens, is still the president. He is the last person who decides if the youth function works or it doesn't work. Him and his advisors. And I would take Nikal's words. The government is the president and people he listens to. So if he listens to the wrong people, it will never work. So it does not matter whether there's a youth commission. It does not matter whether there's a National Youth Council. It does not matter whether there is a Ministry of Youth. If they want youth issues to work, it will work. But my approach would not, after I've been there, and I can tell you for sure that my approach would not be a council or a commission. These are things that Mheshimiwa Sakaja one time used to refer to as the bouncing, bouncing castles, because they keep you busy but gets you nowhere at the end of the day. It's like a rocking chair. You think you're busy, but you're not getting anywhere. Where we support the young people, let us go. The best place to be, especially for a country of ours, is agriculture, for example. Many vast of lands. This is a function that the governors can take. This is a function that the ministry can take up and create jobs. You remember the economic stimulus of Uhuru Kenyatta during the Kibaki days, where they were doing fish ponds, they were doing farming, they were doing whatever. That really tried to absorb young people. That is the approach. The approach to solving the youth question must be mainstream within key sectors of government: industrialization, agriculture, energy. Ensure that they are there, they are doing their work, but more so agriculture.
Alright.
Yeah.
Alright. Sasa acha nisome comments hapa kidogo alafu turudi. But we are still waiting for Karori. Kipchumba Karori has not arrived. You're waiting for Kipchumba Karori afike. Naona sijui amekaa wapi leo, amechelewa zaidi. Naona acha niangalie comments hapa kidogo kwa mambo ya sola na stima. Afika mahali hapa somewhere. Yeah, all right. Matelon Kevin said good morning, watching from Sydney. Salimia my next Kipchumba and my next telling BBI is a scam. Abdul one sama Ijera County, I think I read that. Ezra Mkeza morning, say hi to wakili, asante sana. Solomon Kiru one morning, class from Nakuru. Max Kimele asema Nash Ngari kiongozi kamia. Koske Arafnya Timoy sama good morning GB. Salimia sana Kipchumba Karori. Edwin Kipkwaji biwa sama tuko ndani kabisa ndugu GB from Rewet na wakilisha watu mzima ya Mwibeni 2022 nasema tumbele iko sawa. BBI Ad William atupe signal. Asante sana Edwin Kipkwaji biwa, thank you so much. Gilbert Chemei Serema anasema good morning sir, say hi to my alma mater OKM. Asante sana. Naona Rajab Kipkemboy Salila anasema watching from Garissa. How will BBI make Raila to concede? Yeye ndio shida kubwa Rajab. Maski anasema sauti tafadhali. Adata sketch anasema amazing Ignatius Kipkemboy keeps on saying good morning, watching from Eldoret. I don't see what will BBI directly benefit mwananchi if it will be passed. Sharon Melissa anasema Nandi huko kunanyesha. Nandi kunanyesha throughout, so la iwezi fanya. Kuntai Kulesama anasema I have put more than 10 in my own home now in Maralal. Amesema ameweka solar zaidi ya 10 kwa compound yake kule Maralal. Maralal unajua jua inawaka. So I think hapa serikali itakutafuta sasa, wanasema you are generating your own electricity. Joel Rama anasema yes, I have solar since 2018. And I have not regretted to date. I disagree with Mijungu. Solar is a viable solution. Naona Jerry Susama akisoma tusome so what. Ereng Mako jamaa wa Makinon Police Station anasema following live from Makinon Police Station Kwale County. Naona Jerry Susama anasema sisi tulihamia solar kitambo sana. Ken Ron anasema what is the difference? Right. Naona Ignatius Kimba keeps anasema Kenya is being taken to the dogs. Kenya Power is being killed by corruption. We saw last week when Charles Keter saying Kenya Power is running negative. We pay tokens and it seems we are paying to somebody. By the way, tokens tunalipa kila siku na sisi tunatumia stima na deni. We pay. You don't use electricity on credit. Just as Rotumanzama solar power is very cheap, cost-effective way to go. Avoid monopoly of KPLC. Yeah, teaching us some BBI is like a rose flower with a lot of thorns. Grab it if you like flowers, but reject it if you fear pain. Johnston in Bukula Resama solar energy is best way to go, particularly for rural lighting. This will enable grid power, cheaper for industrialization. So let's go for it as a future catalyst. Joel Resama, yes, it is sustainable. Unisolar. Edme Abraham Resama, my first thought, you're right. Kiptam Murko anasema power is extremely expensive in this country. Joel anasema what is the fascination with secretariat with every government related organization? Why do we think every time we need a commission, we need a secretariat? I mean, why do we know these things? Maximum anasema, so why do we need youth council? Why do we need youth council? Yericho Congress are very much I had mine in the village in 2017, and I've only changed security light sensors twice, and that's the only thing I've changed. Wow. So maybe we need to go fully solar. Yes, it's more sustainable, more than KPLC cutting power every week. Joel Ramasema, wrong jobs are not created by ministries. Yes, by the way, wrong jobs are not created by ministries. Please, Mijungu, reassess your statement. Not to be good morning there. Live from Eldoret, our lawyer is always wise. Asante sana, but we're still waiting for your lawyer to arrive. Isaac Kiprotito anasema good morning Mheshimiwa Bitok, the son of Kapsisiwa tuned in from Jupiter. Asante sana, watu wa Kapsisiwa. Kipkewangi anasema good morning watching from good morning, watching from Vancouver, Canada. Pauline Jerasama, good vibe, asante sana. Kipkwai kiwasa moja ni follow Twitter bwana Bitok. Abu nitumie link yako, nitumie ni yako nitakufollow. Iliso kwanza Mr. GB, commissioners don't create jobs, they work on policies. Why are you insisting in commissioners creating jobs? What I'm saying is, okay, when you talk about policies, we are going to be sure about policies. Then we can only have enough papers. How do we ensure that we're having progress? We move from commissions and all the other things to progress.
You know,
we need to see realistic things.
There's somebody who's amazed me say that jobs are not created by ministry. I mean, then why does a government campaign on a platform of we'll create jobs? They were going to create them from government. So what is government? It's ministries. Let me tell you something about the solar. It is not, you see, like somebody has already said in Nandi, in Kunavua Nyingi, and all, so solar might not be there. There are limitations to where you can generate solar energy and all that. So that one I agree with. That's why I'm saying, or I agree that it could not be sustainable solution wholesomely. That should be agreeable to anybody. That's why you have in Ngong Hills, for example, there's wind power. Why are they not putting solar panels there, for example? But you can actually create jobs with solar. Yes, as a Ministry of Energy, they can actually create jobs. So somebody is saying you cannot create jobs under a ministry. If the Ministry of Energy could be able to do solar gardens can create almost tens and thousands of jobs and be able to generate electricity that you can then pass on to the national grid anyway. And this could be a give and take. For example, in the northern part of Kenya, where there's a lot of sunshine as well, and they have vast lands. After all, we are allocating so much money there that they were saying that we are allocating money to shrubs and all that. Probably you could actually turn those shrubs or turn those vast lands with all those, we could actually turn them into solar gardens to be able to generate electricity from there. So this is possible. And when you generate, you can actually create jobs. Anybody who cares can Google, and you will find that solar gardens actually creates tens and thousands of jobs. If you replicate the same models in agriculture in different ways, I mean, a job solution for Kenya would be so easy. And might I say that solving the job problem in Kenya must be industrial. We cannot skip the industrial revolution. We have to go through it in part. I know right now we are at that industrialization 4.0, but I believe you me, there are things, if it's about manufacturing of food, you'll have to manufacture food. Yeah, you'll have to export it, for example. You'll have to, that is where you'd have to probably get your income. So at the end of the day, our manufacturing agenda, even as per the President's Agenda 4, must be agrarian. Yes. It has to be what you grow at home, what you collect together, what you take to the industries, and then you can have jobs up the chain. Yeah, from the person who grows it, to the person who distributes it, to the person who sells it, to the person who manages the company. That is how jobs are created. So indeed, I can affirmatively say that ministries should be engines of job creation. Yes.
But even as we close that discussion on young people, and one is the question is, when are we going to move from commissions and paper documents to practical solutions to young people? For how long are you going to feed young people with proposals and documents and commissions?
You see,
why can't we get practical for once? Why do you allocate millions of money to commissions and youth councils? Why can't we put that money into giving practical solutions to young people?
You see, the ministers are very dynamic. Today, this is there. Tomorrow, this is not there. And you might have discovered that a minister in one ministry performs, but when you bring another person, probably that person does not perform as good as the other one who left. So sometimes we found solutions around parastatals and state corporations, those kind of state corporations, or even commissions, so that they are a bit more independent, they have a bit more history in doing what they're supposed to do right. That is the reason as to why we tend to move to commissions, we tend to move to parastatals, so that we take those kind of changes that might not be sustainable within a ministry. To a fully fledged organization. Even KRA, for example, was a department at the Treasury. As at 1990s. In fact, it's Musalia Mudavadi who probably made it as an independent parastatal. So you can assume if the Kenya Revenue Authority today was still part of Treasury. Imagine the National Transport Authority, the NTSA, was part of KRA. It was hived from KRA. Imagine how hard it would still be for us to be able to register vehicles at KRA. It's much, much easier doing it at NTSA today than you do it at KRA. But now imagine an NTSA plus a KRA, which was now a department of the ministry, or of a ministry, which is the treasury. I mean, it was terrible. But today you can actually see why autonomy works. That is the best way I can ever explain it. That is why we probably need a youth commission to be able to sustainably push young people's issues. So that even if you have a minister somewhere who sets out to do other things, there are things that remain sustainable for the benefit of Kenyans. That is why you need youth commissions, you need all those funny parastatals around.
At least you know they're funny. Now, Arama, Joel Arama wants to tackle you. Arama utapiga simu 0779-800-010 0779-800-010. Joel Arama anasema anataka kutackle Mijungu. Unaweza piga 0779-800-010 0779-800-010 uweze kufinyana Mijungu mjue kunaendaje hii mambo ya pale. All right, we are talking about, naona tayari ameshafika. Hello Arama. Arama. Yes, good morning.
Hey. Good morning.
Umesema unataka kutackle Mijungu.
Huyo jamaa mwambie mimi nimevaa helmet yangu na nimekuja na baseball bat. I'm going to tackle him very serious. Yeah. Kwa sababu we have a duty to give people information and accurate information. When you say that a ministry creates jobs, that's a false narrative. The ministry creates an environment for investors and innovators to create the jobs. I come there with my idea of, if I'm doing solar, I bring the resources for solar. I'm selling the panels. I employ people to install. I employ people to maintain. I am the one creating the jobs with my company, but not the ministry. The ministry can only employ so many people to run the organization, not creating jobs. The ministry does not create jobs. Please stop telling people ministry creates jobs. This is why our young people are having problems, because kila mtu anasema serikali saidia. Serikali is not going to help you. They're only giving you an environment. What we should be championing is for the government not to put too much regulations on what we can do in the country. If I'm going to start a business idea and I'm investing 50,000, usia tunaniambia license ya cooperate in a county government and charge 40,000 for the license. The national government in charge another amount. By the end of it all, me starting a small business, the amount of money I have to spend to be licensed is more than my investment capital. It doesn't make sense. But we need to give people the environment to be innovators and creators of jobs. We should not rely on the government to create jobs for us. So when you come to these forums, stop giving people that false narrative kwamba serikali inatengeneza kazi. Serikali cannot create any jobs. It creates the environment for people to come in, invest, come up with ideas, innovate things that in turn will regenerate jobs for people from supply chain, marketing, sales, advertisement. Everybody gets a job that way. But ukigoja serikali kupatia itengeneza kazi, my friend, how many people are going to line up for those jobs? You see, when people advertise for a simple job ya walimu, like I saw one time in the news, Kakamega, they were hiring teachers, and then people are beating others at where rudi kwenu ukatafuta kazi kwenu, because you are not born in or you are from a different tribe. This is a problem that we are having. So please stop putting that false narrative. Yes, the government has a section it plays in creating jobs, but overall the government job is just to create an environment for people to come in with the ideas, develop those ideas into businesses that in turn create jobs directly and indirectly.
So tuaje mambo ya kusema serikali?
Serikali inatoka wapi bwana? Tutasema serikali mpaka lini? Hii serikali imetusaidia wapi?
Tufunje all the commissions that we got to work.
We don't even need the commission. Yeah? I mean, I will tell you, and I will send you this video. I saw somebody send a video the other day of this young man anauza a thing he made. I will send you the video on WhatsApp and you will see it.
Ile kitu inazunguka.
You can use it. Yeah, unatumia hii kitu, you can make it as a fruit basket, you can make it as a trash can. Unaweza pindua ikuwe maua kwa nyumba decorations. And I'm like, I need to find this guy. Because I can invest for him to create more of these things and sell them. I can find a market for him to sell these things even outside the country. Because it's a wonderful idea that nobody has. I need him to patent and have a funded from the government that this is somebody's idea. When you come out in this everywhere else, somebody comes with a simple idea. And within a short time, people invest. The government gives you the environment to create your idea into a sustainable product. You sell it, and you make money. And then somebody else anakuja anaangalia anasema, okay, you are a small scale producer. I can invest 100 million and produce more. Can you sell it to me? I'll buy it from you for 500 million. Wewe unachukua pesa yako, unatembea, unaenda kufanya vitu zako, ama una retire, you have a good time. But telling people kwamba tungoje serikali tutengenezee kazi tafadhali. And I'm surprised that he said he was a chairman of something or commissioner of something.
National Youth Council.
National Youth Council. Mr. Mijungu, unfortunately, I follow Kenya news everywhere. I've never heard of anything that your organization did for the youth anywhere, which means you failed in what you are given to do. If you never help the youth to rise up, they are struggling even now. Kila mtu anakaa tu anangoja serikali saidia. You never gave the youth opportunities to be innovators. I have seen videos of a young man in Kisii mwenye ameunda katapila ya kutoa mchanga with kibuyu na miti. I remember the young man who, when Corona started, the young man in Kakamega who designed a mtungi unakanyanga na mguu inakupea sabuni na maji unajioshea. Why did we get this young man an environment where he can make this as an actual product that can be sold everywhere?
Or the BJ150s, ile ya Laikipia.
Exactly. We have people with ideas, but the problem is we don't give them an opportunity to fulfill their ideas and give them an environment to fulfill those ideas.
Or the ones who always do helicopters that don't fly.
Yeah, I don't even mind about. I'm talking about practical solutions. Remember the young people who developed Kitanda, the same bed you buy from US or Germany for $10,000. There is a young man in Kenya who built the same bed for less than 20,000 Kenyan shillings. Why don't we give these young people the environment? And even if they cannot produce mass production, we patent for every bed that is sold for 10,000, they are given 2,000. Somebody else starts mass producing that, which means you employ more people for mass production. Therefore, you are creating jobs. We cannot rely on the government to create jobs. Jamani, Bwana Mijungu.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm harsh on you.
No.
That's the reality.
We are not, Nani, Bitok.
Yes.
We are not talking, me and Arama are not talking about different things. It's not that my approach is the way it is and his approach is simplistic. Yeah, when he talks about those small boys that are being innovative to create something, you do not need to reinvent the wheel.
Please, Arama, you're on speaker. Yeah, that's a loudspeaker. It's getting back to us. It's reverberating. I wish you could speak away from the speaker.
Yeah, we are not talking about different things with him. We are talking about the same thing. The truth of the matter is the government having a policy to create an environment where people can be innovative and create jobs is job creation by itself. Because if it does not do that, then you don't have the leverage to do that. So government, by its end, they create jobs. That's why somebody comes, he tells you will create 1 million jobs a year, and you vote them for that promise, is because you believe they will be able to do that. And in doing that, he's just going into the mechanics of how the government can create jobs. So we are not talking about different things. He's doing it in a simplistic manner. I am telling him in a wholesome manner, or the way it's supposed to be. So that was a long argument for no apparent reason. It's just being simplistic about it. If today, like I said, if the government invested in energy in the northern Kenya to do solar gardens, and there are 5,000 to 10,000 jobs that are available, have they not created jobs? Have they not even created jobs for the private sector to be able to maintain them? So indeed, the government might not be able to create all the jobs directly, but they can directly create jobs and indirectly create jobs. The government is funding the construction of the highway from the airport,
the
expressway, all the way to Westlands and Kangemi, your side. Are they not creating jobs? They are actually creating jobs directly, but they are also creating jobs indirectly for people who will use that expressway. So yes, they give an environment, and yes, they also directly create jobs. So the argument of Arama is as good as no argument, really.
Arama, you're rejoined.
It's not an argument, it's my opinion, and you go to any sustainable economy in the world, the government's role does not create jobs. the government provides the environment for creating jobs.
Why are they
so
blaming?
When you,
why are
I'm
blaming?
telling you what I'm.
No problem. Why
what I'm saying is,
yes. Let's go to those
your
countries,
idea
Arama. Arama, let's go to those countries. Why are they saying in Trump's reign he's lost quite a number of jobs, for example? And why are they saying under Clinton, for example, he created the most jobs? Why? Government actually creates jobs, my brother, and also government indirectly creates jobs in the private sector. So it's both ways, and it's not a bad thing. Let's not stretch the argument unnecessarily. Government can actually create jobs directly and also indirectly. So it's not. All the jobs at KPLC are government jobs. All the jobs at Kenya Airports Authority are government jobs. All the jobs at Kenya Ports Authority are government jobs. All the jobs at Teacher Service Commission are government jobs. All the jobs at Police Service are government jobs. All the jobs in the Army are government jobs. Government creates jobs directly and indirectly. And it also facilitates an environment where people can actually thrive.
What is the unemployment rate?
What is the unemployment?
So if you say the government creates jobs, what is the unemployment rate?
I have no problem with the unemployment rate. We are talking about the job creation. And we should just agree that job creation is both ways. It can be private sector driven, it can be government driven, and most of the time when it's government driven and they're not directly doing it, it's policy driven. They set out policies that can be able to create jobs. So, and I've counted for you countless of state corporations and public service entities where actually government creates jobs. So it is true what you say. I agree with you. They might not do it wholesomely, but they can create a facilitative environment. That is true, like you have said, I agree with you. But also, they do some, even the SGR is fully government, by the way. The Kenya Railways they are now reviving is fully government. Are people not employed there? So government creates job directly and indirectly, and I agree with you, Arama. You only looked at it in your own way, but look at it the way I've explained it. I don't think it's a difficult thing to decipher.
Actually, Mr. Mijungu, respectively, I would say you may need to practice what we call active listening. I did actually tell you that the government has a role to create finite jobs. So you need to do active listening, my friend. Stop being in your corner too much.
Stop being harsh, Arama. This thing, hii kitu haitaki makasiriko.
Hakuna makasiriko bwana. Huwa tukasiriki. Sometimes I speak in capital letters.
Let me tell you something, Arama. Let me tell you. I am not a youth. Today, I'm not a youth.
Yeah.
When I was a young person, I did what I could have done for young people. When you go to a state corporation without a chair, without a mug, without a notebook, without a pen, and you leave it fully institutionalized, that it can work for the people of Kenya today, the way it works. It organizes everything. In fact, right now, I'm not engaged even, I don't even want to be called anything to do with youth, by the way, because I'm not. But if we look at it, at least you've now made the engine that can now move. Institutions grow. You might not be able to give people, before you start fishing, you'll have to make the pond, put the fingerlings, and let the fish grow before you start harvesting the fish and selling. That is what we did, creating the environment, and we did it so well, and you will never hear of any scandals that were common in the youth era under us. We did it perfectly well, and I can name Julie Waweru, Arnold Maliba, Chepkonyi, who now leads the forum for County Assemblies Forum. Betok, you need to host him here. DFO Atemo, Clement Ayungo. I can name all these people. They come from all corners of Kenya. They did a fantastic job without a budget, without nothing. The same frustrations you see youth go through is the same frustration we went through when we were trying to institutionalize. Today they have an engine. And I can tell you, when the commission comes, the commission will simply inherit the good work that we had done at the council to be able to take it forward, because you cannot have a National Youth Council and then have a youth commission. It's because that would be duplication of duties. So where they will be hosted, of course. So there's a lot that was done. It is funny we have to blow our own trumpet, but that is all we can do because it was done well. And today it stands as it is. And by the way, Arama, find time and visit Absa Towers in town and go and look at what they are doing. They're doing a fantastic job with young people. The only force that they need today is that they need young representatives at the board. And that is why I've insisted, even with the Youth Commission, kindly, Kenyans, when we do have the Youth Commission, can we find a way that is representative enough to get young people up there? Let us have a young person elected from Turkana sitting at the Youth Commission. Let us have, because you cannot say you cannot be elected, because in JSC, the Judicial Service Commission, for example, they elect their lawyers there. The magistrate elects their own there. The Court of Appeal, the appeal judge, they elect their representative there. The Public Commission, So we can actually find a mechanism of getting representatives from the grassroots to sit at the Youth Commission. And that should be the discussion. And that is the discussion Kenyans are not having, or the youth are not having. They should ask the question once we pass it. In fact, if you ask me, the way I suggested earlier, could you go, when people are asking for amendment, go and say the Youth Commission should be elected. Let it be in the Constitution that a Youth Commission shall be elected. So that young people, we are sure of the kind of young people who are there. Otherwise, Arama, let me tell you, all these accusations that we are leveling where Modi Awori has been appointed, that is the same thing that will happen in the Youth Commission. In their wisdom, in the wisdom of any president that sits, they will decide to appoint any old man in that commission. What will you do? There's nothing. So young people must be clever enough to ring fence that commission for them and for their own decision making. 100% for young people. I support.
All right, Arama, since you're already there, give your rejoinder. Then I'll request that you remain on the line so that if there's any convention that you can pick on, you can always pick on it.
Yes.
All right, you give your rejoinder on the same. Yes.
Yeah, so here is, in my short tenure as a manager in an organization, I was told when you're giving feedback, you give both a positive feedback and a negative feedback. That's what we call a complete feedback. So my positive feedback to you is, at least, you didn't have to blow your trumpet, because if you didn't want, I think you have done a good job, because nobody blew your trumpet.
Yeah.
And because
and
the only way Kenyan,
you forced me to blow.
No. You remember what I said. Active listening.
Yeah.
The only place in Kenya when your trumpet is blown by somebody else is when you steal money.
Yeah, true. Very true.
At least you have done a good job. So since your trumpet was not blown by anybody else, you have done a good job, because whatever was entrusted to you in terms of funds was never disappeared. Unless there's something that I don't know, I've never seen on the news.
Never.
So on that part.
And you'll never see it.
So I congratulate you on that.
Thank you.
Now, the only way that I'll give you is one aspect that you have failed is the aspect of communication and information.
True. And I could clarify to you, Arama, the cost of getting people to understand what you do. You cannot probably sometimes get people to understand what you are doing internally and administratively. It makes no sense. People don't want to see administrative stuff. They want to see proper things that you are doing that are impactful to people. So you might not actually communicate it as such, because it's more of administrative. And by then, remember, you have no budget, but you have to put yourself out there. By the way, let me tell you, if you go to your YouTube and search the videos where we were doing interviews in television stations, everything that we talked about Uwezo Fund then came to pass as it is. We said it was going to be used to pay political debts. That happened. We said if it was given to MPs, it would disappear. It would never be heard of again. We never hear of it. There are several other things that I might not remember today, but we raised so many things that came to pass as they were. So we were an effective oversight, regardless of the constraints that we have. Can you imagine governors are complaining that they don't have enough money? Imagine we are
those people, they need to be put kwa kiwanja wa chapo viboko. Don't even talk of those governors.
Imagine.
So, I get angry with some of them.
Exactly. So you can imagine these are now young people who have never been part and parcel of any government entity, who are now fresh in this and are supposed to work. But yet we delivered at next to no budget, by the way. Actually, there was no budget. So I think it's a moment of pride, and we think the fact that the institution stands to date is a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing. And when the Youth Commission do come, kindly let us put it out there to young people. Get it elected. That is it. You can still do they can still pass a law under the Youth Commission, because I think it will be supported by some sort of law to get it elected, so that representation is diverse and is authentic.
All right, Arama.
All right. Yes.
Ongea tusikie funga.
I'm still here. So what I was saying, I'll go back to my point about communication. You don't necessarily have to have the funding. With you are a youth. I don't know by the time you are running the organization whether the explosion of using the internet and social media was very prevalent by that time. But then putting out the word out there, statements or whatever policies you have worked on, what the youth can benefit from it. Giving people ideas out there and say, here is something that can work for you, or here is something that is supposed to be working for you. Can you find out more information? And I will give you examples. For me is when I was going through school, whenever I was looking for funding, used to spend a lot of time in between school when the school was not in session. I'll go to Nairobi trying to look for funding. Ministry of Education, I'll go to some of these Indian organizations like Raimitula Plaza and look for funding for me to be in school. But then when I go back, I share that information with my fellow students who are struggling like me. Hey, if you go this place, you'll get money. If you go this place, you may get some funding. So spreading out the information informally and formally would have helped a great deal people to know, hey, there's something out there that can help you. Then when I have the hand, whether I use it or not is up to me. Yeah. But at least I will never come back and say I was never informed.
And Arama,
once you have the information,
let me tell you the folly of youth. Ask any young person or youth, for that matter, if they know about Manchester United and they know all the players, they know them. And this is information 100%. that is in the United Kingdom. Ask them about the information that is in Spain. They will tell you. Ask them all this fancy stuff that they do, the latest music they know. But ask them about their own here. So even information sometimes is about your desire to be able to find it. Imagine they know, but when you ask them about things that are available for them locally, for example, Youth Enterprise Fund, what you can do with it and all that, they don't know. They lack this information. So sometimes I think the policy around how government manages young people must change from what it used to be before. Young people still look at government as very, very bureaucratic, by the way. When they come to government offices, they're intimidated by the red carpets and all that. But these young people have found comfort on their phones. They found comfort on gadgets. We can recreate how government communicates with them. Let me tell you, all these people who are on Facebook, Twitter, they are very brave when they throw insults, when they're abusive, but meet them in person.
We call them keyboard warriors.
Exactly. But when you meet them in person, they are very different people. They cannot even raise their voices. Behind the keyboards, including bloggers, but behind the keyboards, people are very, very confident. There's a false safety that they have around them. This is what young people are today. So the government must find innovative ways of putting our information out there. And luckily enough, you can see, and they've tested it probably with the digital collection of signatures, which is really, really going on very, very well. Very, very well. Because it is digitally driven. Could this be probably a way we do things in the future? If we, for example, want young people to access AGPO, why does it have to be a young person trekking from one place to another without even money looking for this opportunity? Can it be done online, for example?
Online.
If it's about bidding for tenders, how difficult is it? How difficult is it for us to make platforms for young people to be able to bid for tenders online? These are proposals that we put out there, so that we could adapt to the new age of doing business. And do they have to do they have to wait to be paid? I mean, once you log in, you put your details, you can bid for a tender, you put your account details, and when you deliver the goods, it's scanned back, it is indicated it's been delivered, it's been authorized, and it is online, and you get paid. I do not even need to see a PS. I do not even need to see a minister. And the same system can be spooled in such a manner where payment can only be done on the basis of first in, first out. You cannot be paid if the day you logged in to do your things and do your supplies was today. You cannot be paid, yet the person who had done the same 4 months ago has not been paid. So, and if it is automatic in the system, it automatically picks it. So these are things that can be done. Can we, as a people, can we, as a government, try and change the way we do our business? It can no longer be as traditional as it used to be. So these are the kind of things that we try to infuse. Some of them have been taken up. Some of them have not been taken up. For example, if you apply for an AGPO certificate today, you are likely to do it online and submit everything and be proven and get it. But this has not been so much mainstream within other ministries. And then, when you look at these ministries, do not think those ministries are very friendly to each other. People tend to keep their corners. For example, I can tell you authoritatively, today there's a discussion as to where the Biashara Fund that combines young people, youth, women, should be anchored. Should be, there's an argument as to whether it should be at the National Treasury. There's an argument as to whether it should be at the Ministry of Public Service and Gender. There's an argument as to whether it should reside in the Ministry of Youth. You understand? For purposes of control of resources and everything, because people do struggle around resources, including ministries. And then government is not any stranger to anybody. It's just like you. It operates like a human being. And it's not independent of each other. It is interconnected, just the way you operate. So creating this kind of goodwill and this kind of measures can honestly be done. But it is the initiative, and it comes back to what we talked about the other time we talked. Goodwill. How can you legislate goodwill so that, and how can we be able to vote and know that this honestly is a person that if we give opportunity to serve, he has enough goodwill to do that.
That's what the last thing. Now, CRA, usiende mali ya Rama, CRA imeandikia magavana wamwambia ile pesa yenye Uhuru alisema 50 billion na mwapea amesema the carrot is not available. 50 billion. And you're talking about 35% in BBI. 50 billion that was promised by Uhuru Kenyatta the other day, the CRA is saying there's no money. I mean, let's be realistic, Mijungu, and I like the fact that you've been part of these conversations around that. When you talk about shaping a destiny, we have to see from a point of reality. The promises are being given in a document that are not practical right now. What makes us feel that this thing will be practical in a few days? The government the other day, they were striking the no to Lieni, they 50 billion. The 50 billion carrot that was dangled is the one that informed the passing of revenue allocation in the Senate. Now, CRA is saying that money is not there. What's the way forward?
Quite unfortunate.
Please speak to your microphone.
It's quite unfortunate. The ongoings are quite unfortunate, honestly. But this is what I would say. Let us look at the 35% in view in the long term. If 15% has caused so much trouble that the governors think they've not even received all of it, let us have that 35%. Let us complain that we have not at least received 35%, but we have received 25% in the ongoing. But to blanketly leave it that it's not necessary, but then at a time when you really need it, it will not then be possible to bring it on board. It will be difficult. So let us have it. What makes me happy about the 35% is this. For the first time, we will be able, through this BBI document, we'll be able to force some sort of fiscal discipline within the national government. If they are remaining with about 65%, then let it be possible that they can manage it better. And you must also know that any governor who is elected, that council, moving forward, they are going to be more assertive than they've ever been. So if it's 35%, believe you me, they will push it to that end. And if that would bring fiscal responsibility within the national government, and even monetary responsibility for that matter, so be it. Let them have the 65%, let them pay the police, let them do the security issues, let them pay the defense, let them pay the civil servants, let them remain with that thing or that amount that they think is not enough and be able to manage it better. Maybe we are moving towards a point at which we will be more efficient in terms of the way we manage our resources. So yes, push 35% down to the grassroots. The reason why I believe that should be done, it would also take the heat of competitiveness within the national government, where everybody wants to be president or everybody anchors with the president. But as long as we have enough money down there, or we have a mechanism for getting money down there, at least there'll be at least more cohesion
But Mijungu, now 50 billion that has been promised,
Yes.
CRA is saying the money is not there.
Yes.
That is my question. Even as you speak about all these big languages sending money, why are we not sending this money now? The 50 billion that the president promised himself.
Yes.
CRA is saying the money is telling governors this money is not there.
Yeah.
We need to have a meeting and tell you guys we don't have the money.
Now,
So tell me, where are you going to get
this is the
money
way I would
from?
explain it.
Even in reality now, so how do
Yeah.
we deal with this? With this
Ask all
crisis?
governors to make their budgets, for example. How do you make a budget? You look at what you will get, how you will raise the revenue, and then you look at how you will spend it. Sometimes you fall short. You think you'll raise the revenue like this, then it turns out that you cannot do it. For one reason or another, somebody has taken you to court. There was no public participation in you trying to raise revenue in the manner that you attempted, for example. So to some extent, there can be money or there might not be money. I do agree with you. But remember, this is a budget. A budget does not mean, even you when you make a budget in your own house, it does not mean that you have all the money. You know where you're raising the money from, or you know what you are getting and what you are planning for. You might not meet certain objectives. That would plainly my answer. It looks like a carrot that was being dangled to be able to pass the revenue formula. For me, I thought what was dangled, it was not just 50 billion. 50 billion was part of an amount, 316 billion that was initially canvassed. So if you take 316 billion, probably is about proportional allocation. 50 billion plays part within the 316, plus the 316, that is about how much? 360 something billion. So if you take it as a proportion, every country will just receive the proportion that they need. It doesn't have to be 50 billion. I think the biggest issue was about the proportion that can be allocated. So really, I don't think it was about the money in cash, but I think proportion of revenue allocation down there.
So we need to wait for the governors to start demonstrating again, waseme wafanye kazi, tungoje maandamano ya magavana. Arama, I'll come back to you shortly. Wacha niangalie comments kidogo. Naona Audrey, let me just look at Kikwebe anasema, are you aware that but Billy, are you aware that delayed solar uses polycrystalline panels? No need to wait for sun, inataka tu mwangaza. Alright, Manuel Omenga anasema solar panels work even in inclement weather. The panelist is not being honest. Adrian Afula anasema a good point, Bwana Rama, very valid. Kipkweti anasema everyone has a choice. Wewe fanya uamuzi wako, mimi nitafanya yangu baada ya kusoma vizuri na kuelewa, sio kuambiwa ama kufuata wenye watu wanasema. Kuntai Dan Lucky lesama sama Mijungu, job creation is always ideas, which means that gives us good room. Emmanuel Menga anasema Rama is right, but in Kenya the government has set roadblocks in terms of taxation and that demoralizes an investor. By the way, the taxation regime in this country is quite, it's quite something. Emmanuel Menga anasema Jendoi Sokong anasema goodbye Mr. Rama, but it's the talk that is asking how commissions are going to give jobs, not Mijungu. I think you are tackling the wrong person. I think you are tackling the right person, because I was asking the same question that Rama is asking. So he was tackling the right person. Millicent Benjamin Olonsa, Millicent Tirop, Dr. Good morning. You should come back home to contest for women rep Nandi County. Stop being locked in Sydney every day. Karibu sana Millicent Tirop, anasema nataka kukupea kiketi. Ukisikia Wakenya maza kuita kuambia kuja uchukue kiti, hiyo kitu guza na 10 meters pole. Ama 10 kilometers. Usiwahi jaribu, usiwahi. As an HF, anasema exactly job opportunities are ideas invented and conducive environment to operate. Kiprotich Koromich all day from Nakuru. It's a very interesting discussion following from Nakuru. Solar power is ready to call. Switch off Kenya power. Right. Kenya power taniandikia barua sasa mkiendelea na imani. And basi niko nasema let's not bury our heads in the sand. The country is run by cartels. It's not that we cannot do anything, but guys are interested in what would remain as pocket change after these business transactions. Betty and Ken anasema good morning. Taklas asante sana. Emmanuel Omenge anasema Mijungu is stuck thinking about state corporations. Jobs are created in the private sector. In the USA, the department with the highest number of employees is the defense department. Most employment is done by the private sector. All these fees charged on a person wanting to start a business should be reviewed. All right. Kuntai Dan Lucky anasema Mijungu job creation. We are not able to be police, all of us. Kenyans, we really need to work on our own. Yusuf Lera anasema we have problem with volume. Please check. I think Mijungu, you need to speak to your microphone directly. Unaona vile nimeweka yangu? Hivi ndio inafaa uweke yako. Ostula Joseph anasema what is youth age? Let everything or job be competitive. Even anybody at 50 is eligible to any job, not just youth. Ostula Joseph anasema youth commissions. Yeah, it's right. That's nonsense. You mean these big fish don't have youth? Don't have youth. these will still manipulate that commission. This is in Kenya.
Yeah.
All right.
And that is why I'm insisting that they need to find a way of getting the representation, because that guy has raised the same point that he's raised in a nice way, that the big fish will still find a way of putting their children there
and
manipulate it. So if you do it at the level of representation where you seek some sort of an election for young people, then that would work better. Yeah, so I agree with him. Yes.
Right. Pauline Cherabasama Mijungu, speak to the microphone, please. Otula, just what has happened to the youth fund? Can you first find out how many youth have benefited on it, or who are the beneficiaries? I remember the time I was trying to get this fund for a tender back in 2016. Yeah. They told me I need to bring in security title deed. Nimenunua wapi shamba? Nimetoa wapi shamba? Walisikia wapi niko na shamba? Walisikia wapi niko na shamba? Who are the beneficiaries? This country doesn't have the will to help the helpless and unwilling youth who already have at even before trying. Kimutai kwenye nasema karibu ya Mike Mijungu. Pauline Chirama nasema we talk some messages. Ndio hizo nimesoma Pauline. Pole. Kimutai Dan like nasema Mijungu, now you are right. IT is the most important way to go. Emmanuel Mbengembe, how is it devolution when counties still depend on cash being doled out by the national government? That is a good question. How is it devolution when the national government still pulls the strings? You have to actually beg national government. At siku hizi ukipiga kelele kidogo unatumiwa DCI. Ajaki wanasema Mijungu should be realistic. No money means no money. Wacha kizungu mingi bwana.
Emmanuel Menge. He wants money at all costs. But ask the same person if you should have asked him if he supports BBI.
Jackie Agon, no support BBI. Emmanuel Menge anasema by devolution I thought is independence by counties. Just I thought that's true. Abbas Njuguna anasema the role of any president is to promise big things to help him sail smoothly in his regime. Kipindire maneno. Hey, Abbas Njuguna is a realist. He's a realist. Ona hii story tunanwanga sinema. Sultana Rutumi asema following from Juja, asante sana. David wasema the issue of money to county should be in line with the decentralized service. You decentralize services alongside with the funding for that service and not vice versa. By the way, they say money follow functions.
Yes.
Devolve functions, let the money for it. Arama, CRA wanasema pesa hakuna.
Sasa wacha tuanze kwanza kwa county. First of all, we need to be accountable for the little money we get. When you find somebody that bought supposedly wheelbarrows zenye zinazuia cancer and nothing was done to this governor,
alikuwa anaitwa Kasijo nini?
Alafu unaona my beloved governor from Nyamira who built a gate at 3 million, and that gate in the same place I can buy it for 50,000. What is that? I mean, these people are not being held. Remember when we are doing the fiasco of Sweetie from Kirinyaga impeachment yake, and the guy was brought there, it was evident that there was money being lost. The guy says, oh, I didn't know my brother is running the company. You are signing the procurement document with the requirement is you have to know the directors of the company, and your brother's name is there. And then you come and testify in public that you are not aware of your brother, and then nothing happened. We are almost 3 months or 4 months now since the impeachment fiasco?
Yeah.
Those guys are not even in jail. They have not been investigated. They are not in jail. Let's be accountable with the money we get first. Alafu, tukuje hapo pengine tuulize, first of all, this is where the Senate is failing us, because the Senate's job, primary function is to supervise the counties and make sure that the devolution services work effectively. When you allow these people to steal money and all you do is smile with them when they come in front of you and, pass out some funny jokes, which was, to me, one of the guys was very offensive because he joked, one lady was asking a question and he made a very stupid, I would call it a very stupid and offensive woman joke about the two women. You were supposed to be there in an impeachment proceeding, which is a serious thing. Instead of focusing on the serious matters, you are here joking, something that was very serious to a lot of Kenyans who are watching this and say, is this thing really working? So, I mean, I'm surprised even the BBI didn't have a portion where it says we need to do away with this Senate, because this Senate is not doing anything. I'm telling you, you tell me how many governors or county governments have been held accountable with misappropriation of funds, which is the function of the Senate they're supposed to oversee. They haven't done it. If they have done it, then you can tell me, you can disagree. On that point, which is their primary function, they have not done it. Then on that point, they have failed. Therefore, we don't need the Senate. If you cannot do what you're supposed to do, maybe then we just need to go to court directly and sue these people because you are not doing your job. Now, you may disagree with that, but that's fine. Now, when we come to the national government, when you say you don't have money, you have been borrowing, you have been getting loans left and right. Sometimes you are even given money to tackle issues like COVID and some other issues, hunger, and wakati grasshoppers ilikuwa kila mahali mtu anaanza kusema that those grasshoppers will just disappear. You are given money to deal with that. And the money is nowhere to be found in people's pockets. Now, then comes to the question is, you are supposed to have an auditor general. You knew one was retiring. You never had a process in place to replace him and have a smooth transition so that this person who is coming in, the person leaving, has time where they overlap and tell him, here is how things are done so that they know from the person who has been in charge. We don't have that. So now when the government comes and says we don't have money, then the question is, when you say you don't have money, where are you getting money to run the BBI referendum that you're planning to run? You need to give that money to the county. Let's be realistic here. But as long as Kenyans, we don't hold our leaders accountable and ask them these questions, tough questions, when they come out if they ever come out to the machinani and talk to people, ask them these tough questions. Now, one of the issues that I've been thinking, sometimes you come up with these ideas. One of the objections I have with the DPI is the expanding of the legislature and adding more people. But I say, okay, here's my idea, and I think I hope other Kenyans will support it. Since these MPs and senators are hell-bent on expanding the legislature, let's do this. Where if you talk, maybe you're running your own company now or you're not employed, but if you're employed, you tell me which job ulikuwa unaenda, ati unalipwa kwa kukalia kiti. Ukikaa kiti kila siku, there is an allowance.
I think it was sitting allowance.
Where?
We'd rather have them standing. I'm not a standing allowance.
Here is my thing. For these people who are being brought, watch our jamaa will give up their sitting allowances. That money will be enough to pay the new MPs they want to increase. Then we will not have a wage bill that is bloated.
Nasikia bunge itakuwa double decker, by the way.
Sasa prime minister na deputy wake, wacha president give up part of his salary, ilipe prime minister na deputy. Magari ile wanatumia, wanashare magari. So that everybody will still remain within the same budgetary planning that we have at play, so that we don't expand anything unnecessary that we really don't need. Then in that way, I can see it working, but if that is not the case, bwana, utakuwa tax. Sasa unaona mtu anakuandikia ati wewe umeandikwa kazi, unalipo mshahara, unalipo 100,000 every month. Serikali inakata VAT, inakata sijui nini, double. By the time unaenda nyumbani na pension yako, you only have 40,000.
And the question is, Rama, my concern is, the Kenyans are lamenting now. The Kenyans are busy lamenting about the fulfillment of promises by the government in the budgets that we've already made. Governance, creating jobs and all these other things. They're already lamenting. But they are saying that even now, as you're speaking about the revenue, the money that was in promise to the counties, the other day the counties were striking. They actually shut down operations. And they reopened after they promised money by the government. And now the CRA is saying we don't have that money that you guys were promised. And now the same Kenyans are saying, okay guys, let's converge and let's pass a document that's going to fix things. We are already at the point where we are lamenting about the promises that have been made before. We are now banking on another promise that Mijungu is also telling us we need to be fair, we need to trust them. That now trust us guys, with this time we're going to have it right. We have said 35% and we'll have the money to give it. I mean, as Kenyans are lamenting about the present situation, how keen are we in the coming days, about the coming days, with the promise that's being given already?
You know something, Bitok?
I was passing it to Rama. Let Rama respond, then I'll get it back to you. Rama.
Yeah. So here is my point, and I say this: we have already seen what we go by is what we see. The experience we have. We make decisions based on our personal experience in life and the situation you come across. So by now, Kenyans have seen it's all talk but no action. If that is the case, let's hold these people accountable. Say, hey, we are not passing this thing until you tell us where the money is, first of all. We are not going to vote until you show us where the money is. Let's start from there. That's what I'm saying, let's hold everybody accountable. And one of the things that I've said, and I've talked with other people that some of the things that we complain about. For example, I will tell you, I was born and raised in Molo. And I lived in, if you know Kuresoi, that's where I lived most of my young life and part of my adult life. We have a road that connects Molo all the way. You go on the other side towards Riche. That in some government document somewhere it was supposed to be tarmac during Molo's regime, but it was never. But even now, the current MP is the deputy speaker of the National Assembly. He has promised so many times that he's going to get that road constructed or tarmac. but it has never happened. One time, that is an area that when it rains, it rains. Giving you a good scenario, unajua zile tractors za Holland tractors, they are huge.
Yes.
Very, very huge. Can you imagine that tractor could not pass a road, imekwama kwa barabara? The worst thing to me was one time there's an old lady who passed. The people had to carry the coffin on their shoulders because there was no car. Hata punda ilijaribu kupita ikashindwa.
Kama tractor imekwama unataka punda ipita. Hiyo ni kuchokoza punda, hiyo ni kutesa punda.
So me, I told the people, I said, you people, you have been talking with this guy. He only shows up election time. After that, I said, you invite him. Tell him we are doing a homecoming for you. Kuleso is blessed with very good cypress. Enda kata muti vizuri, kiboko mzuri, weka ikae kidogo,
Mnataka kunyorosha MP?
Itoka kidogo. Nyorosha huyo MP kabisa.
Aya.
Nyorosha in public. Let the news media see, and when they ask why are you beating your MP, tell him because I just barabara. That guy will go back in parliament, and within a month you will see the contractors building that road. We need to take decisive action. You need to hold
like Kasarani. Yeah, that's like Kasarani.
Kasarani ulinyorosha mbunge.
Exactly, because somebody cannot be promising you things for 20 years and he never does it. That's asking you for food. I mean, that is one area that is very, very productive. Farming, kila kitu, mboga, viazi, name it, tea, name it, it is there. But barabara hakuna. So it's the same thing, the whole country. Hold these people accountable. Let's start. The devolution, one thing the devolution did was tell the people, you see your government right here kwa uso yako. Let's start with our MPAs and the governors and say, nyinyi watu kila siku munaenda munapatiwa sitting allowance. Munatoka hapo, there was when the whole county government devolution started, there were so many trips of benchmarking outside the country. Until it got to a place, most of the, especially American and the European countries, stopped giving visas to MPAs to go out of the country for benchmark because they realized all these guys are doing is going out for getting those per diem allowances. That's all. They are not benchmarking anything. Mtu anakuja hapa, instead they are supposed to be sitting in a meeting to attend conferences, they are going out there shopping and buying stuff with the money that they were given to come and attend these conferences. So they started restricting how many people can travel. So ask them, why are you going to Mombasa to benchmark as if Mombasa wako na kitu ya maana sana nyinyi hamwezi fanya hapa? You can talk on the phone. Why do you have to go to Mombasa for benchmark? Talk right here. Now, there are some places you can go.
At least COVID has helped us now. There are no benchmarking.
COVID has stopped
They will still find ways to benchmark even when there is COVID.
After COVID now, we'll benchmark on how people use vaccines.
Yeah, exactly. You see, those are the things where if we can hold our leaders accountable for what they are doing.
Right.
Tuwache hii mambo ya kusema mtu wetu syndrome ati, ukikuja kwa kijiji hapa, my clan, mtu wetu, our lineage hapa ndiye amekuwa MCA, so we have to protect him, even when he's doing horrible things. Be reality. You know what? You are failed. Get out. Let's put somebody else.
Aya, wacha nisome comments hapa alafu I throw the same question to Mijungu. Arudi. Australia Johnson, can we have every county to have monthly magazines to show how they spend our money and show us in picture all the project being undertaken and fund allocated so that those who are down there can see and know that their leaders are doing. Otherwise, even if you give them 200 billion, they still do nothing without accountability. All right. Jeriso Kosa must stop comparing America with Kenya. The manual, this is where we are wrong. Let's work on homegrown solutions. Magdalene Njogu anasema how do federal governments in EG Nigeria work? Our devolution has failed totally. Na amekasirika kabisa. Jackie anasema do not support BBI for one reason. It is increasing the load over us instead of reducing it. Punda amechoka, punguza mzigo. Claude Chemogin na amekuja hapo na emoji. Emmanuel Omengi anasema what does Mijungu think about BBI? Atatuambia anafikiria nini? Abbas Njigo anasema Arama, Senate has not failed. It has always summoned people in government and prepared reports after their findings. But what happens to the report? Is a question. Australia Joseph anasema Mijungu's opinion is because he might have read the BBI. Why not read it and have your own opinion? Wachana na ya Mijungu. Read. You understand your own way. Pauline Cherabo anasema availability of funds is goodwill from leadership government. So it will still remain a dangled carrot. Karoti. Tukule karoti tukisonga. Otula Joseph anasema it's about BBI because I'm blind and my leader has read it for me but has not told me what it says, but he has said it's good, so I support it. Why? Nazaiano Wakadirango naona amecheka. Ile moja amesema can't support this useless burden. That's only helping greedy politicians. Australia just anasema that's the real Kenyans we are. Let's see, Eleta anasema a local citizen, I don't support it BBI because it increasing the tax load to just ask for the name of inclusion in government and increasing of representation that all Lord come to us. Yurizo kwanza invite Rama akae hapo kwa studio live. I like his contributions. He'll be joining us. Yeye ni chairman wa diaspora huko ngambo. Yeye ndiye anasimamia program ya diaspora pale. Mijungu.
Yes.
Well, the same question.
Yeah.
You are here telling us about what the government has not done.
Yeah.
The promise that does not fulfill.
Yes.
But you want us to believe in a magical document.
Yeah.
That is going to suddenly give us 35% from nowhere.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing an economic structure in BBI that is going to tell us how you're going to generate income. Where suddenly are you going to get money to develop?
Let me tell you. Sorry. Bitok. If 35% is forcing fiscal responsibility at the national level, so be it.
So from where is the question?
From where it is, we have enough resources. The kind of traveling, that unnecessary traveling that happens around the country, it is bound to stop. The kind of unnecessary expenditures, inflated tender processes that happens at the national level, we are likely to see a drop in them because they'll be forced to cut their coat according to their size. If their revenue is shrinking, yes. Sorry. So be it. So I don't think, and let me tell you, and we are not trying to support a document or pass the document for today or tomorrow. You know, Kenyans are angry. I can imagine why they are angry. The economy is not doing well. COVID has affected everybody. People have lost jobs. So why are you telling us about BBI? That does not mean we don't prepare for a better future. Because indeed, we must prepare for tomorrow, regardless of the way today seems to be. So the document must not be judged because of the harsh economic environment that we are in today. Let us also judge it for the future. What do we expect it to get in the future? I mean, if the economy was doing well, everybody would be like, no, let us devolve more money now at the country. So let us just have the frame.
How many billions are being stolen every day? When you say there's no money, how many billions are being stolen every day?
I haven't said there's no money. You are the one who has said there's no money.
No, you are not saying the economy is doing bad. Which economy? Whose economy is doing bad?
Of course, the poor man's economy is doing bad.
Yeah, and the poor man's economy is not in charge of devolution or governance.
Very true.
Yeah.
I agree with you. But if the Constitution, the new amendments would force fiscal responsibility and monetary responsibility to some extent, I do agree with it in totality. Let us also remember that what we are doing is organizing the frame of the Constitution. It is not for the present, but it's for posterity.
So to say suffering ya sasa, we take another promise.
Let us tighten our belts. Let us tighten our belts. The Constitution is not a promise. The amendments is not a promise. It is in law, the supreme law of the country. When it says 35, it will be 35. I do know that there are other functions that will follow the 35%. Most likely agriculture, full devolution of agriculture will follow.
But it's not captured in BBI. Agriculture
by the way,
BBI. It has been given a white bath.
The following functions. But of course, you cannot give money without giving them functions. It is definitely gonna happen that when you give, you have to give, because when they demand the 35%, you'll give them responsibility. Wewe Bitok, unaweza kupatia mtoto yako pesa kama ujui anaenda kufanya nayo nini? Mimi nimekupatia shilingi 50 sasa, make sure umefanya ile. Yeah? So at the end of the day, I know money should follow functions, but in this case, they've made it in a way that functions will have to follow money for some reason. Yeah. So it's a frame. It's a frame. Let us not judge the frame. You will need to put the flesh.
I think Kenyans they just live on hope. Sioni kama kuna kitu kingine tunaishi. The only thing that's keeping us Kenyans going ni matumaini tu. Hata tu yani hata Mijungu natuzia tu matumaini. Yani amini tu ya kwamba hiki itapatikana, pesa itapatikana out of nowhere. I cannot tell you where, but at least trust us that money will be found somehow. Anyway, wacha tuangalie headlines za magazeti. We just tuchangie tuone inakoaje. All right. Now the Standard headline nasema Raila was not duped. The point is ODM leader issue statement to reiterate his position on the referendum bill. Amir claims that he was kept in the dark about changes on the IBC, police and judiciary. He had previously said no changes would be made to the draft bill, shutting the door in rival pushing for consensus. Uhuru's 930 billion pandemic watch chest. Anasema the government is raising 925 billion, 2.5 billion to cushion Kenyans against, I don't know Kenyans. Hizi wa Kenya wanakuanga nani? Sikuna nilisikia ati wa Kenya mpata relief ya corona. Mimi ni Mkenya, sijaiona pesa ya corona.
Hata ya kipindi.
Hata
ya maji.
Mahaze. Zama Kenyans against the effects of coronavirus. The man will be invested in sectors that create jobs and stir growth to reboot the economy according to the new treasury report. Niliona there was some memes that were going around wakisema Kenyans wanaweka unye. Wakisema Kenyans are going to get relief 1,000 shillings for the old age. The old wanaweka baba hapo. All right. Hiyo ni gazeti ya The Standard. UN warns of acute shortages in Tigray. Fuel and cash are running out in a region where 6 million people have been sealed off from the rest of Ethiopia. Hiyo ni mambo ya Ethiopia, vita ambayo inaendelea pale Ethiopia. Na kuna kitu nataka tuangalie hapa. Why big wigs, that is on the People Daily. The other People Daily inasema why big wigs sijui kwa nini gazeti leo ina misbehave. You know what's going on. Hii gazeti leo ya People Daily. All right. But it is about the guys who are supposed to be retiring, running back for office as MPs during the BBI report. I think the BBI report is giving the older guys a new lifeline. The retirees, the political retirees, a new lifeline, another chance again to come back on the politics. I mean, what does that make you feel? I think it's in their own interest, because especially the last time governors. The last time governors are now eyeing MP seats to come back into the government through BBI. And the question is, Mijungu, where is the turnaround in this country? Just when we thought these guys are going to get off the political podium finally. Wanarudi tena.
They've even created deputy ministers and ministers to be able to accommodate probably people who have high profile like governors and all. Let me tell you, it is not the responsibility. You can make a constitution, but it's not the responsibility of Kenyans to elect the governors again in any position that they desire, if they so wish. The constitution is clear today. If we do these amendments, definitely we'll have more people in parliament. But if we want to avoid having such a blot, then elect women. The message they're telling you is, you are burdened by this, please elect women. So kind of these amendments forces us to elect women. I don't disagree with it. Any governor did not need to have a new constituency to run for office, honestly speaking. They just needed to run for the ones that exist. So it is the People Daily argument of constituencies being created for governors to run. I think it is wrong, Bitok. Let us be honest. They don't have to run for they can run for the Senate. They can run for the member of parliament that exists today as it is. So basically, it's just additional constituencies as demanded by different cartels or different I'll call them cartels, by different kinds of people and different regions that think the population are high. People have raised many issues. I come from Migori. Migori is we are about 1.2 million. In Homa Bay, we are about 1.2 million. That is 2.4 million. We are not getting any new constituency. Kiambu, the total population is 2.4 million. They are getting 6. Tell me why Homa Bay and Migori is not getting. By the way, Bitok, I'm in this show and I'm realistic. What is wrong, and what is right is right. But does not mean I don't support the document. There are issues that we must raise. Tell me, the whole of Homa Bay, as vast as it is, to the end, we are 2.4 million. As good as Kiambu is. So why are they getting 6 and we are getting nothing?
But you are the creators of BBI. You guys, BBI is...
Support us. The reason we support it is because there are better things in it, regardless of the mistakes that they continue to do. There are better things in it. If you look at for example, the bigwigs being said are going to run for this other seat. We have not even audited what they've done. And I once made a suggestion that anybody who has run for governor should not be allowed to run for senator. The reason is simple. They still have pending. There's a lot of pending information and pending work that they did that would need to be oversighted by the Senate. And case in point is the Speaker of the Senate, Lusaka. He had an issue with these carcinogenic wheelbarrows. Today he's the Speaker. Today he's the Speaker of the Senate. Do you really think, as the head of business committee, he would allow such a motion on his carcinogenic wheelbarrows to be discussed in the Senate? It is quite impossible. So I do think the House of Oversight of the governors, anybody who has been governor should not be able to run for that seat of the House of Oversight for up to probably 5 or 6 years, so that their cases can go to some sort of closure. So these are things that we have to think about on Kenyans and be able to embrace it. And it should not even be a legal question, by the way. It should be actually a moral question. I mean, you cannot want to be in that house, yet you have pending issues that you've not cleared with it. So I do believe that we're in the right way. We've talked about Raila Odinga being duped. Honestly, he wasn't. The gentleman was on the podium explaining to Kenyans that even his own proposals that he made regarding IEBC and the constitution of IEBC, which I agree with. If you look at this country in 1997, where we have the inter-party parliamentary group meeting, where all political parties came together and agreed on ECK commissioners, we had a credible election in 2002, devoid of issues. But when Kibaki refused in 2007 and unilaterally appointed commissioners without reference to IPPG that he was part of, we had a mess in 2007. So there's a reason as to why Raila Odinga and the ODM party, our party, suggested that we needed to have a voice, a political voice within IEBC. And but you see, in the person who appoints IEBC today would only be the president, because the president constitutes the panel. The president is the head of a party. So instead of having two, we actually have one. So I did think that if the argument was made better, there could have been a consortium of other parties, which are non-parliamentary and parliamentary party, to be able to have slots for which they can propose nominees at the IEBC. It will force them, because once you sit there and you have responsibility of a country, we would be able to do it. And I will tell you why this is also possible. When you go to a polling station, there is an agent who affirms that this person got these votes, an agent for every political party, for every political player. This is like the board of the IEBC at the lowest end, which is the political at the polling station. So we do have this at the polling station. We have this at the tallying centers. We have it at the county tallying centers. But now when it comes to national, we want one person. We want people who are not really agents to decide. Basically, what the proposal of ODM is saying is we want our agents at IEBC. Then we would have solved the question of contested elections, because your people are there whom you propose, plus others that are proposed. So you cannot say in finality that they don't believe in the credibility of the results that are there. And people are asking, so does it now solve the question of accepting defeat? No, it has now not solved it, because you've left doubts to people. Yet you have it at the polling station. Why don't you then have it at the county, at the sub-county, at the national level? Why don't you have it? Why are you comfortable having these people at the lowest end but not at the highest end, so that there is a systematic way in which decisions are taken to the top? We would have now solved the question, but we have not solved it. But I hope, because this is a living document, that we will be able to amend it. I'm quite happy with us continuously moving towards a parliamentary system, because we are multi-ethnic, we are multiracial. The best system that works and has been proven world over is a parliamentary system. And having the position of the Prime Minister is good. And I really, really hope that the President who comes in will mistreat a working Prime Minister, so that people, so that people would realize, if we gave this guy security of tenure, as a premier, if we ever gave a premier security of tenure, probably the country would work better. So right. Yes.
Arama, I'll come back to you shortly. What are my comments? Alafu nirudi nikuulize. Lakini meanwhile, as I'm waiting to come back to you, just ponder your thoughts. Mijungu believes the document is not complete, but he believes it should pass the way it is. He supports it. He believes that Homa Bay should have gotten more MPs. Is it Homa Bay?
Homa Bay and Migori.
And Migori should have gotten more MPs, but he's saying the document should pass.
Yes.
He believes that the Prime Minister should have powers and security of tenure, but he believes the document is good. Just ponder that as I'm going to come back to you, because I think Mijungu, I like Mijungu. I don't know what he's trying to protect. He sees the document is not good, but he's kuna mali kwa roho yake anamwambia hapana, huwezi sema
haiwezi kuwa perfect. Unajua wakati ingine
ndarudi kwako.
In 2010, 20% was bad, Let us pass this, at least there's like a 5%. We will pass it later.
Then after 5 years, tuanze siasa ingine ya BBI.
Not 5 years.
All right.
We will know.
Tutaanza lini after 8 years, because it's 8 years since we passed 2010.
But Tanga has been campaigning from the time they won election.
So hakuna ndio nimesema tutaanza referendum mingine. Alright. Naona Julius wewe anasema BBI is a scam. Alright. Naona Ojwang pia ameingia hapa, tusikie Ojwang anasema aje kule. Ojwang.
Yes sir.
Yes, tuambie umekuwa ukisikia mjadala.
Yes, nimefuata mjadala. Na ninaomba kuchangia kwa lugha ya Kiswahili.
Tafadhali changia, sijui umetoa wapi Kiswahili leo. Lakini wacha tusikie.
Kwa hivyo ninashukuru sana the panelist.
Na hiyo si Kiswahili.
Itakuwa ni kininikwa.
The panelist si Kiswahili.
Itakuwa ni kininikwa kwa hisani ya wale ambao hawafuati Kiswahili vizuri. Lakini look at the deception. Kuwa tangu mwanzo ya hii process ilikuwa Aukot alianza punguza mzigo. Hapo katikati kina Kuria pia wakaja na version yao ya punguza mzigo. In fact hata Raila na wale wote wakakubaliana kweli the agenda na theme ni kupunguza mzigo, lakini sio hiyo ya Aukot, tunaleta punguza mzigo version yetu. Hiyo punguza mzigo inapofika, because that was the context. If you told me that there is a constitutional moment, the spirit of the time was reduce wage bill, reduce all this blossoming and the plotted number of elected officials, reduce our wage bill. That, for sure, I know Kenyans were in that. And at some point, for the various reasons that, for example, we are taxed at 30%. Which country taxes its people at 30%? That from the 1st of the month until, I don't know, 12th or 13th, I'm working for the government.
Yeah.
So that was the conversation. That was accepted. Aukot brought it and, in fact, thought he could hijack the process because he knew how famous and popular that initiative and the thought was. Well, it was sabotaged at the county. Everybody was there. We were all there. Even Raila was there. All of a sudden, you go and do the opposite. You go and bring BBI, which is big government, which elongates and expands the positions, which don't do the opposite of punguza mzigo, become the mzigo itself. You know that Bible verse which says, they make a heavy load to my people, yet they raise no finger lifting it. You Pharisees, and I can see Jesus wagging his fingers. Saying, you Pharisees, you make heavy load to my people. Yes, yet you lift no finger lifting them, and then munawacha na mzigo. How did we end up with a constitutional moment which is about increasing the wage bill and increasing the number of representation? Surely. So and you see, this is a very important debate. If you go to U.S. election, which is organized around ideas, the issue of big government versus small government is actually a very serious debate. Do we want a big government, knowing that government and the bureaucracy do very little for the economy, do not that the bloated government, the Nigerians say, combine the word impossible and can't to say impossible. It sounds stronger than just impossible or cannot. So please let us do something about this BBI, because loving a politician does not mean you have to be slave to any of their nightmares. So that if they have a nightmare and then they bring it to you, it becomes your reality. Let us work in a sustainable manner. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think there's a story that was written by Malcolm X on the house and the field and the house Negro. The house Negro when the boss says we are sick.
I love that. That is a curveball for me, and I think he's just trying to make me happy on Friday.
Yes.
If you read the pedagogy of the...
Hello?
Gerard.
All right, yes, good morning. No, John, good morning.
Good morning.
Nazungumza na nani? Amepotea tena. All right. Have you read about that, the analogy of Malcolm X
house
on
Negro
the field,
and the
the
field
house,
Negro,
the house and the field Negro?
We are in the field.
Yes, you know when there's the house Negro as well. When I've seen comments here. Someone says this other person will read the document for me. That's the house Negro.
Yeah.
All right. Ojuang, you're talking about the Bedajo.
Yes. So, no, the very fast. The house and the field Negro, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, you know, over there was what they call the single blood drop. Meaning, even if you have a single drop of black blood and you are 98% white, you are black. And so there were mixed children, there were mixed people. You know, though the white people, the madam, were not working. Even the breastfeeding was done by slaves, and they will breed with African Americans. So then there are some who came light, and there was law on how to even determine whether you are black, white, or black, and anything impure, ikiwa na madoadoa hata kidogo inaangushwa hapa kwa black. Now, in the process, there were those who will be light enough that don't scare the master. They will be the house nigger. They can also get some little wine with the master. They are there. They have to look happy. And then there are those who are dark. Boy, if you are dark like me, you will automatically be picking cotton direct from morning to
by default.
And you are not needed around the compound there. So, and funny enough, the house nigger will probably have a small cabin around the rest because now amekuwa kama nyapara. So in the process, this nigger will have in his mind that, you know, I'm a little more superior than those field nigger. And he will adopt the things that is part of the master's house. So you'll hear him talking of when the master is sick, you'll hear him saying, "Master, are we sick today?" When the master's house is burning, you'll hear, "Master, our house is burning." So he will have joint ownership without any right or privilege, but he will think that because he has been entrusted here, he is part of this, and he will despise the fellow slaves.
The nigger.
And that is very apt to how Kenyans think, because you feel you are punishing the other person. Yet you are really punishing yourself, and you are really in the same boat. If you look at what Booker T. Washington wrote, Booker T. was, as I finished, was at the age of 10 by the time that the Supreme Court of the U.S. pronounced that slavery is over. Booker T. Washington is saying in that cabin where about 16 slaves were living, there was debate all night. What does this mean? The master called them and said, Nigger and Negress and whoever you are, the Supreme Court have pronounced that there is no slavery. And Booker T. Washington is looking at the face of this nigger. They are surprised. What does that even mean? And then they say that the master says that means from tomorrow you can leave if you want to. Now they're even more confused. And he said that also means I don't have to cook for you. No, we going to eat one. Then he said, okay, you guys go sleep over it. Kesho muniambia asubuhi. Booker T. Washington is saying that night, the debate was, do we want to be free or not? Can you imagine somebody is a slave? And that is Kenyan.
That's Kenyans, yes.
What are the advantages? No. So then until 4 a.m., nobody slept. By 4 a.m., they went to the master and summoned the master and said, Master, we are back with the answer. We ain't be free. We want to be your slave. Master said, fair enough. That's a democratic process. Fair enough. That is democracy. Take your shamba, go to the garden. I will also cook for you. Business as usual. That is where we are.
I think we'll analyze that story again on Monday. I also have a story on this. I want us to look at it again. You know, in terms of freedom, at times freedom, an enslaved mind does not value freedom. We will get to that as well. Thank you so much, Juan, for your contribution today.
As I finish, and I know I'm belaboring this.
Yes.
As an enslaved person is a dangerous person. That is what the book our court gave you about the
agony of the oppressed. Yes.
If you look at Fanon is talking of black skin, white mask.
Yeah.
The more I put on white mask, the more I'm acceptable. He's saying that the process of colonization and enslavement. Actually, even this corruption started by somebody coming from Europe and picking your most fertile land and moving you.
Yeah.
After that, we are shameless because we have seen it.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello,
Yes, good morning. Haraka naongea na
Martin.
Yes, Martin, niambie.
The entire thing about BBI, I think it should be thrown away. Sijui mbona, like, unajua the people who are pushing this thing.
Yes.
Actually, one thing is that they don't have favor with the citizens. We've known Uhuru as a person who has been violating the Constitution of 2010. We have the appointment of judges. He did not do that. We have the money to the counties, even the 15%. He still hasn't fully. Up to now, we are almost towards the end of the year. And then now we have these people. We have a person like Raila, who people supported him 2017, but the guy betrayed them through a handshake. You see?
Yes.
So all these people, they don't have favor with the citizens. And the good thing is that they have already started because the entire thing is a violation of what constitutional amendment should take. You see, like if the government wanted to push this thing, it will have used the parliament. It will have gone through the parliamentary route. But now they saw that one is not going to work, so they decided to go through the public opinion to get a referendum, and it's the government that is pushing for a public opinion, not the citizens. You see how this thing is a fraud.
Yes.
And that's why we keep saying that BBI is a fraud, because its entire, the way it has been handled from the start all the way till the, how is it possible for you to start collecting signatures when you haven't given people the document already to read? Why are they signing?
Sawa, asante sana Martin.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Umesema BBI is a scam. All right. Olabijili sawa wanasema BBI is a scam kabisa. Otula just do you know how you support this so-called burden? I'm sure you don't. It's by taxes dare you to fail utaona. All right. Kirwa Nyanja anasema ask the speaker is the BBI a priority. Ignatius Kipkema keeps anasema hypocrisy from government must be stopped by wananchi at all levels. The government are talking of creating job opportunities to our youth. On the other side they are killing industries. Pan paper Imwebuye, Mumias, Gemelil sugar factories are dead. Those are just but an example. And instead of them reviving, they are forming commission of inquiry. So, to inquire why they did not manage the properties well. Let's say, I don't agree with this man, Mijungu. I think we should be sincere with Kenyans. Wamuri Pickpack anasema check whether he has a fat brown envelope in his back pocket. I love to check. Lakini anakuja na shati kama ameacha koti huko mahali kuna envelope. Ignatius Kiwemba keeps anasema if in BBI what belongs to Mwananchi had to be taken to parliament for approval, but what belongs to big wigs are automatically approved immediately after referendum. All right? Oh yeah. Jedodi Sakong anasema BBI isn't a priority, but remember Kenyans will have a chance to reject it, to accept it, so cheza kama yewe ikifika hapo. Anasema Gerald Bitok absolutely sustainable. Kipkemanga anasema what will happen in a scenario where every agent declares their own candidate a winner, by the way, on the formation of BBI commission. But I think they have said that the president will appoint, not the parties. But the party reps, I don't know why they put it. Although just on some agendas, the top 3 political parties should nominate 2 commissioners to the electorate body. That's a very dangerous recipe for me. Honorable Tim keeps boiling, does BBI guarantee the loser to accept the results and not to cause violence? Does BBI guarantee free and fair elections? If yes, how? Keep quiet. Kibensama 20 constitution is a burden to Kenya. It has raised the wage bill. Na hiyo BBI inakuwa burden juu ya burden tunatumia millions. Munga Luther Konyesama enjoying the show from Convent United Kingdom. My question is, for how long are the leaders from Western, Eastern and Coast region being to fence sitters, gatekeepers and flower girls for these cold dynasties? Hata mjamaa wa Migori hapa anasema viti hatujapewa lakini tusukume hiki tu. Can you guys imagine for 1 minute BBI failing? Surely where will Uru and this brother be? With all the systems in their hands, kweli yanguke uongo kabisa. So let them pass it. We have no, and I repeat, no power whatsoever. Hata kutumia Murkomen kuongea kizungu yote kwa Biblia itapita sio kazi kwao. Sio Joseph anasema for as long as their stomachs are full. Biroko wapi Kasupu hapa aseme kitu. Kasupu kanakuja on Monday, alienda sabbatical kidogo. Okongo anasema the only person I trust in Kenya is Maraga. BBI we think should take it to to him for a way forward. And to give it to Arama to give his final remarks. Alafu nikuja nipe Mijungu atoe final remarks yake. Arama, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here, man. I've been enjoying the discussion with Mike.
And his point of view, I liked his analogy very much. Now, a couple of things that I want to say. I had one gentleman who just called in and said that we have not been given the document to read. Unless you tell me you don't have access to the internet, pesa ya kuprinti imekuwa shida, you have the document. Once again, this is what I said in the beginning, that we should not depend on the government to do things on our own. We have the document available, read it for yourself and draw your own conclusion. So that point, I want to throw it out and say we do have the document available. We just need to print it. Unless kama ujui kusoma, sasa tutafute gumbaro ufunze kusoma. So now, going back to the serious matter, one of the things that I want to address and talk about is we as Kenyans, we need to love our country. And we need to put the country first. The welfare of the country should come first before my own selfish interest. And I'll give you a couple of scenarios. One, I remember in the run-up of last election where one of the ladies, I think is Wahome or somebody in Central, slapped, assaulted an IEBC returning officer. The thing that really was disappointing and angry for me is there were police officers standing there who witnessed the assault, and they never arrested that person. They never arrested the MP. That is one thing that we need to separate our security forces from politicians. At this point, we talk. Even if you go to a court right now, if a court issues an order for the police to go and arrest Matiang'i, they will not do it, or arrest their own arrest the IG, they will not do it. But by law, they are supposed to fulfill that. The problem is because we attach almost like we treat some of these cabinet secretaries and MPs as demigods, that as long as you are in the political favor, we can't arrest you. And the moment you jump on the other side, unfortunately, Mukomen and Itumbi learned that the hard way. The moment you cross over and start seeming that you are not in line with what the system wants, man, unachapwa vibaya sana. So, but we should get to a point whereby everybody respects the rule of law, and people, it doesn't matter who is in power, it doesn't matter who is in office or is a cabinet secretary. The law has to be followed, and the police should enforce that law equally to everybody without favor or fear. Now, when it comes to the officials of IBC, you should get to a point whereby the country comes first. You know, we should not get to a point whereby we have, unfortunately, Christian Musando, who was killed for supposedly standing for the truth. You know, it's unknown he stood for the truth. He didn't want to do something, although we can't prove it one way or the other. But these are the people, you know, Mrs. Akombe, who was like, you know what, I'm out. I can't do this because what I'm seeing here is not patriotic, is not lawful. It's a lot of backroom deals that really is not putting the country in the right process. Now, when you come to the BBI, like Duncan said yesterday, if we are not going to have every section, several questions pertaining to things that if you favor the commission, youth commission, yes. For example, I say point blank, I support the idea of extending the petition time for presidential election from 14 days to 30 days. But then I say we need to add other elective offices so that we have a shorter time frame to decide these things so people can do their job effectively.
All right. Arama, we are out of time. We are already 7 minutes after time.
Yeah. Okay.
Give us your tackle of the day.
A few minutes? Yeah. Okay. So, so just in summary, let's focus and make our country first. Let's put our country first. Even here in this, in the state of Georgia the other day, the Secretary of State said, even if I support the current president, I still stand for the truth. The numbers don't lie. He stood up despite all the pressures and approved that Joe Biden won the state of Georgia. We need to get to that point whereby the truth prevails every day. Then those violence will not be happening. Election violence will not happen because people will be standing for the truth. And that's it.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much, bro, for joining us again once more.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Mijungu.
Yeah.
Your closing remarks and tackle of the day.
Well, we have the BBI report. We have had the signatures collection launched. I think by today, probably they are at 1 point something million already. I don't know whether I'm right, but that is what I get. I think it is moving on well. Let us pick what we desire and what is important today. One thing that everybody agrees with is that the document is not bad. It is acceptable and it's progressive as opposed to what we had before. It has tried to kind of sort the challenges that we've had in the last 10 years with the Constitution. The document is a bit more inclusive. Actually, it's much more inclusive than it was. So we can break the duopoly, kind of duopoly appointments that have been ongoing for quite some time. So people are angry, and we recognize the anger of Kenyans. The economy is not doing as good. It is not just about Uhuru Kenyatta, but it's also about the pandemic that is affecting us. We cannot postpone development because we have COVID, and we cannot postpone improving the frame of the Constitution just because we are feeling bad or we're woken up badly. Let us support the BBI process to its conclusive end, regardless of there are few misgivings that are there. And by the way, remember I was telling you that in 2010
you have issues like let's about it.
I have issues. In 2010, 20% was not so good. Today, maybe 3%. So we are in the process of getting a document that we can say is 99.9% good for the country, and I think we are headed there. So let us pick what is there. Imagine Kenyans. By the way, Kenyans are very funny. For the last 8 years, governors have been quarreling with the government in regards to money. The Senate has been quarreling with the government in regards to money. Today, we have a possibility of getting 35%. Now they don't want it. The MCAs wanted a ward fund that they sang for 8 years, and it was so hard for them to get anything from their governors because their governors wanted to have control of what happens in terms of development. Today, it is in the Constitution. Now we don't have it. Now we don't want it for some reason because we are feeling bad. It's just because we are feeling bad. We are hungry and angry in equal measure. Why don't we pick what is important first? And then we can sort out the rest. The Senate, for example, has had a bit of enhancement of its powers. At least it can approve. Some officers that work within government. That was never before. But they should stop. The Senate actually should stop sleeping, because the biggest problem we have had with devolution is the Senate that agreed to be a rubber stamp for the executive for the first part of Uhuru Kenyatta's term. They did not want to hear nothing, do nothing, but do as they were told. They didn't care whether there was revenue or there was not revenue for counties. In fact, the governors, through Isaac Ruto, are the ones who are fighting for at least a fair, equitable system beforehand. So the Senate has shot themselves in the foot. It is time for them to wake up from their slumber. I do not agree that the Senate should be abolished. No, not at all. With the structure of devolution, we obviously need a stronger Senate and a bicameral kind of parliament, the way we have it today. So I do think that is right.
Thank you. It is. Sawa. Asante sana. Thank you so much, bro, for coming in again. Arama, asante sana for holding on the line for 1 hour. I think it's actually 1 hour and 28 minutes. Thank you so much for holding in on the line. It's always a pleasure to have you. And for all the tacklers as well who have been joining us, Mijungu, well, you get 35% with this struggling Kenya economy. He's saying the economy is struggling, but there's money. I love the optimism in Mijungu. Nikitoka hapa anipeka kitu pia. The economy is struggling, but he must give me something. He must give me something. All right. Thank you guys. The tacklers will be joining in. Monday, we have a battle of titans between Barack, anaitwa nani? PLO Lumumba, Professor PLO Lumumba and Barack Muluka. To a battle of brains. So let's wait for Monday. Let's wait for Monday. To the tacklers, thank you so much. Have a great weekend. We'll catch you again tomorrow. Tupatane pale maridadi moto shower. Wale watu ambao kuna magari kina Mijungu kina nani. Mwache kupeleka magari kawash. Pelekeni gari Kaspa. So tupatane kesho pale tomorrow on Saturday and Sunday. Na pale maridadi moto shower pale Seattle Mall. Tuanze kuosha magari na kuwa kuna conversation ya wanaume. Tuzungumze. Wanainua inakuaje. Wanawake pia mnaitishwa. Unajua mama hawatuitangi baby shower. Lakini tunaita nyinyi moto shower. Kujeni. Tuonane pale maridadi motos kesho Saturday na Sunday. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend. This is the tackle, and the tackle ends now. Bye-bye and see you again. Bye-bye.